how does the career start to get to that point?
That first year and a half of my career was I probably went home crying every single day. And I was there at midnight crying my eyes out, trying to figure out how to do all this sale process and trust accounting. But I don't want to be 50% at 5 roles. I want to be 100% at 1.
How important is personal brand in your role?
It's not just now people are calling the agency, people are now calling Bree.
Did you ever think, well, what's the next steps from here with McDonald's?
I did actually really want to go into corporate.
What do you think's changed?
More now just about fast service rather than quality service. And I find that these days they just try and push cars through rather than doing it efficiently, but also to perfection.
Welcome back to Pack Chat. Today we're joined by Bree Brown. I'm so excited to speak to you, Bree. Bree is a wealth of knowledge in the property space. She's been in the game for over 12 years, seen the highs and lows of the industry. She is a partner of the Agency Surry Hills, business development manager, done property management, leasing, you name it. Bree's done it in the space. I'm so excited, Bree. Welcome to Pack Chat.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's all good. Now, tell me, recent changes, negative gearing has hurt the sales part of property market, where we're seeing buyers leaving or not buying, sitting on the sidelines. Confidence is at all-time lows.
Yeah.
How has that changed, or how has the landscape changed in your world being in the leasing space?
So look, it definitely does affect us in a lot of ways when it comes to purchasing new investments and the negative gearing and everything. However, I have found for myself personally, it's also not affected us as much, only because, which is a bit unfortunate for obviously sellers, they can't sell.
Yeah.
So then they either need to move into different properties, or if they're trying to sell and they're not getting the figure that they want, they have to put it with the rental department. So I'm still busy and still picking up clients, which is good.
Yeah.
Again, unfortunate for them, but brilliant for me and brilliant for the investor market, because there is a lot of people still out there which are renting. Like realistically, last month, I did obviously signed 16 and I leased 15 last month alone.
Wow.
So, and that was right after everything hit.
Yeah.
So to put it in perspective, there's still a lot of movement in the investment department.
Yeah.
But it depends on why. So in terms of new purchasing and new investments and everything, that's slowed down and shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
So depending on what people are buying, but again, the rental market's still there because of unfortunate reasons of people not being able to sell.
Yeah, okay.
Which is what people don't realise.
Yeah, so what about on the other side of it, like from a tenant's point of view?
Yeah.
Is it busier out there? Is it more expensive?
It's really confusing because we're seeing a shift across the board. Now, I look after properties anywhere between $600 to $4,500.
Yeah.
So I obviously look after the East and Northern Sydney. Last week I had 3 tenants moving into a property from $4,500 through to 4,250 and then 3,950. So it's like, how do we lease out properties like that with a market that's happening right now? But I saw more people through the door of 3,500 and above than I did $900. So it's so confusing as to why and how.
Yeah.
But I find the type of property that you have and the type of marketing that a company has and pricing a property correctly, you're going to get people through the door no matter what.
Yeah.
So the market and investment out there doesn't matter. It comes down to the property market of how the agent is, how productive you are, and then getting people through the door to get it leased.
Yeah. And then when someone misprices a property, what does that do to a listing campaign?
Oh, it can affect it so much. So realistically, when you go in the door to an owner has a figure that they may want or need. It's one of the conversations that I have when I'm doing a rental appraisal with a property, and I'll say to a client, is there a figure that you need? And they'll say, not really need, but I'll be like, okay, so what do you want? And then they'll say that figure, and I say to them, I will give you a figure of where it legally sits in the market today. And that's because if you were to go on market, this is what I recommend. However, I can try and achieve for you the price that you want, but where that sits and your timeline, like if you need your property leased out within a week, don't do that figure. Yeah. Do what you are sitting in with the market today, because you will lease it today.
Yeah.
But if you want to try and achieve a higher annual income for your property, you may sit on the market, say 1-2 weeks longer. And then people don't realize that, say for a $3,000 property, 2 weeks on the market of sitting when you could have done 100 or 2 less, you lost 6,000. So you've got to market it correctly and you've got to market it right from day one, because then otherwise you go onto the market and it will sit there, and then you just have to keep adjusting and keep doing the feedback, and people will see it drop and see the price drop and the photos change. And tenants are smart. Like tenants out there are smart these days, where they're picking up on everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to be very smart with marketing it correctly from day one, and you'll know within 48 hours if you've done it right.
Is that the main issue vendors have, like getting the price wrong and trying to dictate what they're after, or where do they go wrong?
It's honestly comes down to the agent. If you don't have the agent that can talk to you about and be honest with you and turn around and say, this is what you need to do, the landlord can turn around and say, this is what I want. An agent will turn around and say, yeah, no worries, just because they need a property to sign. And then that's when it can affect a property. So you need an agent that will turn around and say, look, this is firmly what I believe. This is where it sits. We'll do what you want, but as long as you listen and understand how the market is, because we've done this a lot longer.
Yeah.
So I do it with a lot of clients. I'll turn around and say, look, I'm happy to try how you want, as long as you listen to me and listen to the market.
Yeah.
And they really do, which is good.
And how quickly do you need to adjust the campaign if it is overpriced? Like at what point do you actually know that we've got the pricing wrong on this, we need to scale it back or even increase it? What does that timeline look like?
So you can't actually increase a property. Once you've launched a property onto the rental market, you legally can't increase it. So that's why I do tell owners, if you have an X amount you want to achieve, and say if it is very close to the actual rental figure of where we do market a property, you're better off trying for that, because you can adjust and go down. You can never legally go up.
Okay.
So you have to remarket the whole property, pay the extra like realestate.com and domain fees, things like that. So you're better off trying and going on the market for that extra 100 or 200 more, seeing if you can get it within the first week. So you'll know if a property has been marketed correctly within 48 to 72 hours.
Yeah.
Because you'll see the inquiries come in, you'll see what's going on with the listing, and like the back end of the campaign that we do, similar to something, say, in your company, where we can see the inquiries coming through, the clicks on the listing, how many people have saved the property, who's inquired on the property. So we can see all of that. So if you're not getting barely anything and your property is good, you've overpriced it.
Yeah.
So you know within 72 hours.
Yeah, makes sense.
But you wouldn't normally, sorry to cut you off, you wouldn't normally adjust it until your first open home.
Yeah.
Get that feedback, get those people through the door, figure out, see how many do come through the door, see how you go, and then adjust it after that.
So like, for instance, for someone that wants to like test the market or understand, okay, what is the highest amount I can get?
Yeah.
Can they launch it off market like first? Does that count as
you
like...
can. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it if you're trying to get a higher figure, just because you can always launch something off market, but you've only got a very limited database that you're doing it to.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to achieve the best possible outcome by paying the small marketing fee that you pay, you're better off going onto market and getting the best annual like figure that you can get. So by going onto market, you're actually opening up to 100% of the rental market.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as well as some agents will call a landlord and be like, I've got this tenant, this tenant, and this tenant. Everyone has the same tenants. Everyone's got the same buyer. Everyone's got the same investors. A person is a person that's in the rental market today. You go onto the realestate.com and domain and you'll find your person. And that's why sometimes off market's great if you've got a property, say maybe $900 to $1,000.
Yeah.
But a property, say at $3,500, you need to go onto the rental market to find a tenant for that.
And those properties, I'm assuming the $900 properties are like your 2-bedroom entry-level apartments.
Yeah.
I would have thought they are like really like hot property. Like, are they busy properties or what's
It just depends. It's really weird because it's winter right now. So like obviously around the beaches of your Coogee and everything, it's actually quieting down a little bit.
Yeah.
But your eastern suburbs, also out west, and then over in Neutral Bay, I'm finding the 2 bedrooms are going fast, but around Coogee, not really, which is quite surprising. But you watch in the next 4 weeks, the rental market will take a massive shift and will increase again because you're coming into your spring period.
Okay.
Hotter, spring. So you know
Give me the
your
life
periods.
cycle of when a vendor should be looking for a property. When a vendor should be looking to lease out a property and when a tenant should actually look to lease a new property.
A tenant to look for a property would be winter because it's a lot quieter and the prices are good and it's cheaper as such. But for a landlord, you're better off around your spring, your autumn, and your summer. It's actually funny because the busiest period on market, which I'm going to regret saying because it's the worst, is your Christmas period.
Busiest period is the Christmas period. Is
Yeah.
that just because like everyone's so frantic trying to get moving before Christmas?
That, and then also jobs have all finished. A lot of people move with hospitals. Obviously, we've got POW that's in Randwick. So a lot of people move, doctors, nurses. You've also got UTS that's in Randwick as well. So a lot of students are coming here. But then it's also the period of obviously school's finished. And then you've got kids going to high school. A lot of Americans are coming here as well now. So we're seeing a lot of people from overseas, and they start fresh in January. So they need to secure a property in either December or January, ready for the February school year or
Makes
working year
sense.
or anything like that. So it's actually the busiest period.
Yeah. And different properties, do they have different like times of the year that's a better time, or is it always that December is where you're going to probably get that highest return?
It's a bit of both. So around January, February, even a little bit of March is quite busy, especially coming into the new year. Then it quiets down like instantly for April because you've got your Easter, your Anzac Day, your
Okay.
holidays, everyone's away, no one's looking in the market. So it really goes based off, and like we just had it just then where it was so quiet the last 2 weeks because it's winter, but then it's also school holidays. So no one's really looking at properties, no one's going on the market.
Yeah.
So it's really based around holidays, periods, like everyone's securing jobs, schools. No one's thinking of doing that unless you actually need to.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the time of year.
Yeah. And like, tell me, like obviously like 12 months is like a usual standard lease that people are
Yeah.
sort of locking in for.
Yeah.
Do you see like 13-month leases, 14-month leases to
Yeah.
get that right period of when that lease ends?
Yeah, so especially around December, we'll always do either 11, depending on what the landlord wants, either 11 or a 13-month lease to get it out of that Christmas period. We call it a lockout period. So
Yeah.
we don't have leases end between the 15th and the 15th just because who wants their property vacant over Christmas?
Yeah.
So we do that. Otherwise, you do find a lot of tenants ask for an 18-month or 24-month lease starting in the first time ever tenancy. But I always tell a landlord, don't do it. Do 6 or 12 months to start. See how the tenant is. Make sure the tenant's good. Make sure you like the tenant, but also make sure the tenant likes the property, and then extend after. So then that way, if a tenant, you don't really have bad tenants anymore. Tenants are very qualified. They're very smart. They're really good these days.
Yeah.
But if you do have a bad tenant, you can't get them out. Like, it's not something you want to hear, but you can't get them out.
And what does make a bad tenant?
Not paying rent, 100% would
Yeah.
be the worst thing. But I guess it just depends. Like someone that this sounds so bad, but someone that complains a lot, like
Yeah.
for like not just maintenance reasons, just consistently is complaining about little things that could be done on your own that is not something that doesn't need to go through a landlord. Like
Yeah.
a landlord's obviously providing someone with a home. So you've also got, like, I'm a tenant myself, and like there's things that I love. Like, I'm very OCD and I love my home, but I'm like, there's things that you just do around your house because you're like, you know what, respect a landlord. They're giving you a house. There's so many little things like a light bulb, and I'm like, that is actually a tenant's responsibility. Just
Yeah.
change the light bulb.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Downlight's different story, but light bulb, just go do it yourself.
Yeah.
But mostly rent.
Rent.
It all comes down to
Yeah.
rent.
And then when you're looking at a rental application,
Mm-hmm.
what are you looking for? Like, how does a tenant make themselves look more desirable, I guess? Like, without changing anything, but
It's
what
really
are you actually
hard.
looking?
We obviously do. It's funny because on an application we have to obviously see your bank statements or your pay slips, rental income. A tenancy ledger is the number one most important thing we look at. So like some property managers, unfortunately, out there will give a good reference for a bad tenant because they want them out of a property, which like
Wow.
it does happen, which is unfortunate to the next property manager. But you go off a ledger. Like if a ledger's paid on time and a tenant pays on time consistently, no matter what, it's already an amazing tenant. So ledger is definitely number one.
Yeah.
A lot of tenants put references down for personal references. I'm not going to say we don't call them, but no one's going to put a bad reference down. Like
Yeah.
no one's like, it's
Yeah.
like me, if I went to go apply for a property, I'm not going to put someone that's going to give me a bad reference.
Yeah.
So we look at ledgers and then it instantly goes to previous property history. If you're obviously an owner, it's amazing you're an owner. So like that comes in handy.
Yeah.
We don't check if you can pay your mortgage. Obviously, it's not something we do.
Yeah.
But instantly, a owner is obviously a high qualified tenant as well. But a ledger is number one.
Yeah.
And then it goes off based on how long you've been in your career for. So it's very similar to like when you're going for a job interview,
Or a
past
home loan.
experience, home loan.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, actually, mostly for you. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you'd look at it in the sense of how stable are you in your job?
Yeah. Okay.
So like obviously if you're changing job cycles every 6 months, it's like, okay, well, you're not that stable. Are you going to be able to pay your rent in 6 months' time?
Yes.
So it's the exact same as you. I
I'm
can see your
smiling,
face.
so
That your face is like, hey, that's exactly what we do. Yeah. So we do the exact same. Ours
Yeah.
would probably be very similar to what you do in your career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in terms of like, just going back to the owner of properties that are also
Yeah.
renting,
Yeah.
is that common? Is that
Huge.
growing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Massive. So I find like a lot of people own properties everywhere and have a portfolio and they rent somewhere they love to be in.
Yeah.
Or I have a lot of owners that have such huge properties, like all my couple $1,000 properties that are 4 or 5 bedrooms, and they just go rent a 1 bedroom and they love it because it's just themselves now. So they don't need a huge home anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very often I will put landlords in properties to rent and then I'll rent theirs out. So then my landlord
Interesting.
becomes my tenant,
Yeah.
but then also my landlord. Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens like quite often. It's probably 50% of the market is landlords.
And those types of people, do they have one property, multiple properties? What's the common?
30% of our rent roll are actually multi-owners.
Yeah.
So like I signed up a client not long ago and he had 8 properties.
Wow.
I'm looking and dealing with a client at the moment and she's got 5 properties. Like it's very common where they have 2 or more.
Yeah.
Anything above 10 is not too common, but
Yeah.
like 30% of our rent roll are multi-owners,
Wow.
which is huge.
And are they renting like, okay, so before you sort of mentioned like a downsizer, so they're obviously downsizing,
Yeah.
but someone that owns 5, 6 properties,
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're sort of like affordable properties without
Yeah.
going into too much detail.
Yeah.
Brisbane, Melbourne, all the buyer's
Yeah,
agents sort of properties they look at.
Yeah.
Are they renting like $4,000 places? Like, are they renting that dream house or what are they?
Yeah, I find a lot of my owners that have those big homes don't rent them.
Yeah.
They rent something smaller.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the big houses I rent out are to a lot of Americans overseas that have a lot of money and they come here and then their company pays for 50% of the rent.
Yeah.
So it's things like that, or a lot of Australians that actually have huge companies. Like one client, I'm looking for a property for him at the moment, and his price range is basically 3,500 to 4,000 and above. He doesn't have a limit.
Yeah.
And he earns a lot of money here in Australia and he doesn't own any property here.
Yeah.
He just rents and lives in Woolloomooloo. And
Yeah.
he's just
Lives a good life.
earns a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then it's just clients like that. They just own businesses here in Sydney.
Are they mainly like the sort of top end? Are they mainly business owners?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. CEOs,
Yeah.
marketing executives, anyone in the higher clientele of those big businesses that are quite well-known businesses out there
Yeah.
that we deal with. Yeah.
I've got a lot of real estate agent clients and I find a lot of them are renters.
Yes.
Do you find that
Yeah.
real
A
estate
lot of my sales agents are renters through me. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
It's even like myself. Everyone's like, oh, do you own property, this and that, and especially here in Sydney? And I'm like, no, I rent here in Sydney.
Yeah.
So it's just easier. It's better. I
Yeah.
love it. And like I've just obviously moved around and stuff. So it's good to know. Like I've gone from Cronulla to eastern suburbs. So I love that knowing I can just, if in 6 months, 12 months, I want to move again, I can. It's brilliant.
See,
And then I
that's
just don't worry
unreal
about it.
because I sell the dream of owner occupier.
Yeah.
Like this is a
Yeah.
bee's knees. Like,
Yeah.
like I love an owner occupied property because
Yeah.
it gives you that stability, security. But
Yeah.
it's kind of the opposite as
Yeah.
well. Like
Yeah.
you want that flexibility
Yeah.
of being able to pivot and
Yeah.
move or spend a summer in North Bondi at the penthouse that
Yeah.
you just showed me before.
Exactly. So yeah, if anyone wants it, go for it. But yeah, it's like that. Especially in Bondi, we do get quite a lot of properties, the 2 bedrooms with water views, and they're like $1,500-$1,600 a week. And a lot of people as well, your Bondi, your Coogee and everything are from overseas. So we get a lot of people that come in our summer period, and then they'll go over there in the summer period. So they just chop and change.
Yeah.
So the rental market's amazing like that, where there's always tenants out there looking. And yeah, it's necessarily a lot of agents and landlords that like to do the same, where they rent out their big properties and they like to just go, like I've got a lady at the moment, actually, she's in Paddington, has a beautiful home, 4-bedroom. And she's like, I'm over being here. I just want to go to Manly and be on the beach in a 1-bedroom. And I'm like, okay, no worries. I'll help you with that. And then I'll help you with yours. So it's brilliant. Like, yeah, as much as I want to sit here and help you with everyone buy investments from you and then come to me with the BDM side of things, which would be brilliant. But yeah, no, the tenant market is huge, which is good.
And then like you've seen like periods, like you've obviously been in the industry for now over 12 years. You've seen periods of like extreme, like especially, start of COVID of, lines out the door. How did just on that period of time, how did you work through like 100 like inquiries on a property?
You've just got to nail it down to the most important. It was, like I actually saw it not long ago as well. I had 64 groups through a property in Alexandria recently.
Wow.
And I just like, the owner was across the road sending me photos and I'm like, yeah, I'm here dealing with it. I'm like, I would love to respond to you right now, but I'm like, don't talk to me, I'm busy. But it was crazy. Like I remember COVID. Well, like I said, I've been in the industry for such a long time. So I've gone through all the waves of what the market has done. But I just remember it was quite sad dealing with everyone with the masks and one person in a property at a time and lines out the door. And like, it's funny because a lot of people don't realize too, with a sale property open home, it's 30 minutes. With a rental, it's 15. So it's like you've got to get 60 people through a door in 15 minutes, one by one. And also trying to not be too close to them. You can't be too personal. Don't touch anything. So it was really quite hard to navigate and deal with that in that situation. But then it just came down to who applied quickly. Yeah. So it's the same now. It's like, okay, you go do a Saturday inspection. Who's applied straight away? Put time and effort into those that put time and effort into you. Process their applications as quick as possible and get the best outcome for them and a landlord, rather than sitting and waiting to inquire and get back to all 60 people. You just say, okay, who's put in, say, 6 or 7 applications? Let's go through these. You number the 3 the best, and then you go through there and you go through the next stage. So it's kind of like a step 1, step 2, step 3 process.
And how involved are you in the process of selecting a tenant? So let's say you get your top 3. Are you taking that to the vendor?
Correct.
Or are you,
Yeah, so I've got a leasing team under me, which are amazing. Like they're wonderful. So they'll show the properties for me as well, because I can't spread myself too thin where if I did everything myself, I wouldn't be able to do the numbers we're doing. And I just believe as well, having a team and everyone that does things for you, same as you in the company, having a team is brilliant. So I've got a leasing team that show the properties with me and for me, and then they process the applications. We screen and vet them. And then when it comes to me, I'll double check it. Then I go to the owner with it and I say, okay, here you go. This is what we think. And then the owner will come back and ask questions. And then we go through that process. But it's good because the leasing agents we have in the system, they're very qualified, because you've got to judge someone within 15 minutes. Like you have to assess someone in 15 minutes. Okay, yes, your paper application could be amazing, but how are you in person? So we do the 2 processes. It's like, okay, we've vetted you there, and then in that 15 minutes, you seem brilliant. Your application's also amazing. That's the next stage. There could also be things that we do pick up on what people say and how they are, and not really how they look, but I guess if they've lied on their application compared to things we've noticed in person, that we turn around and we question, okay, are they just putting this on paper?
So are you taking notes, or is your team taking notes at an open?
So at the open home, we have like a full software where we'll type in obviously all the details, then we'll write notes. They then send me a report after every open home, and then I send it to the owner, so the owner can see every bit of process communication and steps as to who came through, what their names are, comments about the inspection and what happened, feedback that the tenants have given about the property. And then we can go from there, and we then match that up to who's applied. And go from there, which is good. And
like in terms of technology, like we'll get into it, but I can feel your entrepreneurial spirit, and I know you have started a business anyway, and we'll go into that. But where do you see AI coming into your space? And like, are there any whispers? Are you worried?
Yeah, I use AI. I'm probably really going to out myself here. I use AI a lot for marketing. Obviously, we use it a lot for a lot of our social media, and doing like a lot of our ad techs are basically AI now. Like I use ChatGPT like probably 50 times a day. So we're consistently using it to make sure property verifications are done correctly, but then also we're using it to screen any listings. We do it a lot for photos as well. Like we'll edit photos through ChatGPT now too.
Wow.
So I'll do a lot
As
of
in
virtual,
like a light, like brighten up the property. You'll
yeah,
send that.
just making the photo better.
Yeah.
I'll get professional photography. Like, so one thing we do for a lot of our clients is we do pay for that professional photography. We'll get them to go in, do everything, then I'll send it through. And I've got an updated software with, well, there's Claude and there's obviously ChatGPT. So I'll put the photos into there and get it to do virtual staging to make it look 10 times better. So yeah,
Because
I
how
use
much
it a
would
lot.
virtual staging cost before you were using ChatGPT? I'm
It used to
assuming.
be like a Box Brownie website, so it was like $40 to $50 per photo. Now, obviously, we just pay for the premium marketing of the ChatGPT, and we use it that way, which is good. So it could be anywhere between say $50 or $60 a property. The one good thing I love about my photographer is a lot of photographers and companies will only do like say 5 photos per property, but he does unlimited. So if I've got a big home that I need like 12 photos for, it's the one cost, which is good.
Yeah.
And then we do all of it. So we'll do all that for an owner and do the professional photography.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like we won't go live on a property unless it's 100% marketed to perfection, because that's going to bring in the inquiries, bring in that income. And if I'm marketing a property higher for the rental income, I want to be able to say, this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
ChatGPT and
Wow.
AI. Yeah. So
I see, like, to me, styling's massive.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, when you're saying, like, you're using ChatGPT to add furniture to a property,
Yeah.
like, I know how much that changes a perception of a property.
yeah.
Would you ever get a property styled, or that's just
No.
like an ineffective cost?
Yeah, it's not really that useful for a rental market. A property is going to lease if it's good, and a tenant will move in and they need to see a property. And sometimes I'll have a turnover from someone applying for a rental property to moving in within 3 days.
Wow.
I can't have styling in there if I need to get this tenant in and get this owner some money.
Yeah.
So styling's more probably for a sale of a property. Because you think of it like with sales, if you're going to spend, say, $5,000 in styling, you want to make back 10, 15, which will happen. And you're walking in and you're spending a lot more money in a sale process. But a rental process, a tenant needs to go in, see where they would put everything. So drawing those photos and virtual staging to get the tenant in the door, then the tenant and the property will do the next step. But yeah, we don't really do it for rental properties, more sales.
Yeah.
But the virtual styling is wonderful. Like it's honestly, it's huge.
Yeah. Wow.
But because you find as well, as I was mentioning a while ago with Ignite, and when launching a property within that 48 hours, we know. So you can see how long someone has gone on a listing and sat on that listing for. So we can see when they click through the photos, how many people like what photo. We can see whether they've read through the ad text. And a lot of the time, and I tell my owners this, tenants do not read an ad text.
Yeah.
They do. I reckon 80 to 85% of tenants going through realestate.com and domain do not read an ad text.
Yeah.
They'll go on, they'll look at the photos. If they love the photos, they might scan through it and see if there's anything that's like a 6-month lease only or fully furnished. But then once they see the photos, they'll go to the property and have a look.
Yeah,
which is
photos
why,
are king. Like,
or video even. If you can get a
Okay.
video, so like a lot of properties I do are from sales agents selling to investors.
yeah,
If you can add that video in and floor plans are huge.
yeah.
So if you can do that, it's brilliant. But yeah, virtual staging's huge.
So, would you recommend getting a floor plan done at every listing if one's not already done? Like, I'm
I
assuming
would to
there.
an owner, like it makes a massive difference. And then you've got it. So it's actually funny because then once you've got it, if you do sell in the future, you've got that floor plan there ready to go.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it later on. And a big thing, obviously, in my market is I have a lot of investors that put their property on the market with me if they can't sell or if they're going to sell in the future. So if you've got a tenant in the property and then you want to go sell, if you've got everything ready now, you don't have to do it when the tenant's in there.
Yeah.
And it's less hassle for a tenant as well.
Yeah,
So the more you do prior, the better it is in the future.
yeah, makes
So,
sense.
Yeah.
And tell me, go into your team structure because
Yep.
a lot of property management sort of businesses out there, they've got a beautiful BDM like yourself
Yeah.
that it just knows the industry
Yeah.
inside and out. But when it comes to the actual property management,
Yeah.
I feel like stuff gets missed. And
Yeah.
obviously that is the key component
Yeah.
of managing a property is
Yeah.
once you've got a really good tenant, you've done your best job.
Yeah.
So take me through what a team structure looks
My
like.
favorite. So the biggest thing, so one thing I learned in the industry 11 and a half years ago when I was doing my course is you don't sell houses, you sell yourself. And realistically, it's what we do. The leasing agent, you're the face of the business for tenants. And then me, I'm the face of the business for my landlords to come into the business. But what no one does see is the backbone of our business. So like, yeah, it's brilliant of what I do and I bring in the income, but our property managers are what keeps it. So being in the back end of the system. So we have our leasing department. We've got a BDM or BDMs, which is myself. And then you have your property management department. Now, I know in a lot of big companies, you kind of have your tenant advocate, your maintenance advocate, then you've got your property manager that deals with just your landlord. In our company, we have property managers. They will manage your whole property. So they'll deal with everything got to do with you, with a tenant, your rent arrears, your maintenance, everything got to do with your finance, your income, everything got to do with the property in total. So they know your property inside and out. Yep. Like those property managers, what they do 9 hours a day throughout the property is so important. And it comes down to experience as well. Like the number one thing, which I rave on about within my business with Eastern Neutral Bay, that I've never seen within the industry before. And I say this all the time and no word of a lie. Every single property manager within the both companies have been in the industry for longer than 5 to 7 years, which is not common.
Yeah.
And they've actually been on their portfolios. Like over in Neutral Bay, I've got 3 property managers over there. They've been on their portfolios for over 30 years.
Wow.
So like they will walk in and they just, obviously they do a lot of work and do everything, but they just sit there and they're like, cool. Because their portfolio is so clean. They know everything about their properties. They know every single tenant's name, every landlord's name. They know every single maintenance. Like long story short, I signed this property up for this person that purchased it. He then said, do you have the background and history on this property? Obviously, I'm the BDM. So This property was with an owner for over 10 years. I didn't have that history, but I brought in Johnny, the property manager, and he had every bit of history for 10 years on this property, knew it off the top of his head because he managed it the whole time. And it's like they are the backbone of the business because they do what they do.
Yeah.
But property management's actually one of the highest turnover industries and careers out there because it is so difficult. Like I say it to my boss a lot and I'm like, you're a complaints register. Like you literally, you are a complaints register.
Yes.
Like you get tenants
True.
complain to you and you get like owners complain to you. You get me that comes and complains to you. You sit there and they just cop it. Yeah. And it's like what they do within their day and then how they manage it is so important. So that's why it's good to have and sign your property up with people that know what they're doing because turnover is so high. As you would know in dealing with banks and dealing with everything else, having consistent turnover is so hard as well. And being a business owner too, you want people that are consistently there so they know the background. They know everything that's going on. Yeah. So the property managers that have been on their portfolios for that 10 plus years are the ones that you want to sign with. And so like, that's why I go out there and I don't sell basically just myself to these landlords. I sell who I'm signing them up with. So like I'll decide with a property who that property manager is going to be. So my boss and I'll say to him, this is the property, this is the background, who do you want on the property? He will then designate it to a property manager. Then I sell them because at the end of the day, they are the ones that will be looking after you. Yeah. So we've got a lot of property managers that have been there for over 10 plus years. The youngest property manager in our company is, I think, 31. So again, experienced. Everyone has their own homes. Everyone's got their own investment properties. So they're not the young adults in there that are managing properties that don't understand. Yeah. They're the ones that are there that know what they're doing. So that's probably the main part about the team that I could say is the property managers. Because they could be managing your property for 10 years. Yeah. But,
and it's super, super crucial getting the right property manager because like I don't want to bag it, but a heavy sales office that doesn't really focus too much on their property management department and will get a young 20-year-old managing a property. Mm-hmm. Look, there's great young 20-year-olds out there, but you just don't have the experience. You don't have the relationships to call up electrician and get something done or so I find experience is super, super crucial.
Especially for like the younger generation and not in a rude way, but it's just a transaction to them. Yeah. And it's like for the generation and who I work with specifically, it's like this is a job to them. This is their career. And also it's like they've done it for so long that it's second nature to them now, where they know all their trade. Like they all have specific trades that they use because it's like, it's who they trust.
Yeah.
So it's having that importance of not just being like, hey, this has just happened in a property. Can we get a trade out? Yeah, absolutely. A young person will just send anyone out there. But my property managers will turn around and they'll be like, okay, where can we try and save this owner money before getting someone out there? Have you tried this? Have you gone to the fuse box? Have you tried this with the plumbing? So they try and navigate it before they spend a landlord's money because they've got that experience.
Yeah.
If you don't have the experience, you can't manage a property at the end of the day. And it's the same as me. It's like, I can't go out there and talk to a landlord and help them lease out a property if I don't have experience. Yeah. If I'm just here for a transaction and selling a property, it's not the same thing at the end of the day. Like I go in because it's what I want to do. And putting a tenant in a property for a landlord and helping both sides out, it makes it so much more wholesome for me than turning around being like, this is just a transaction.
Yeah.
I'm here to sign your business and see you later. Like it's not about that for us.
It's like that sort of revolving door of I get into property management because I want to be a sales agent one day.
Yeah.
And that's they're the types of people you don't want looking after your property.
Yeah.
So like, a lot of business owners get that part wrong as starting property management and sort of move into sales. Whereas I'm like, property management at the end of the day is
it's the backbone of a business.
Backbone. It's the value of the business.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you in your business?
Huge. Like, for instance, obviously we go off value creation and how much can we benefit. Obviously it comes down to looking after landlords and making sure that they're okay. But at the end of the day, I've also got to think about my company and think about obviously the agency. So for me, it's like I've got to do the best job I can for not only my landlords, but for the business as well. So it's like creating and signing as many properties as I can to create that value creation and create the portfolio and the numbers in the system. Because at the end of the day, that money that I'm bringing in is setting up the company and the portfolios and to create jobs and to create incomes. Because sales, they do their own thing. They sit there. It's like when you sell a real estate agency, you don't sell the sales agents. You don't sell anything got to do with the sales department. You sell a rent roll. And I'm creating those numbers. I'm creating what you sell in the future. So it's like, I think that's the one thing of, I've been in sales. I've been a sales agent. I've been a sales manager. I've been a director. I've been a leasing agent. Everything you can think about, I've been. And the number one job I love the most is a BDM, because I'm like, you're creating that rent roll. Yep. You're filling those jobs. You're creating more portfolios for property managers, but you're creating the backbone of the business. And I think that's then why I get praised, thank God. And I feel so loved. And I'm like, keep me here. Like, you can't get rid of me, but it's good. So you're creating, there's just so much. Like, you're creating things for a landlord. You're creating things for a tenant. You're creating the backbone of the business. You're creating jobs. You're making people happy. Like, it's just, there's so much that goes into a rent roll and goes into a property management department that people don't see in the back end. They just see it as, I think the number one thing that I don't like is people will turn around and say, oh, what do you do in your career? And I'm like, I'm a real estate agent. They're like, oh, how many houses you sold this week? And I'm like, I'm not in sales. And they instantly, people don't know what a BDM is. People don't know what a leasing department is. They just know property management and sales. But instantly you talk about real estate and it's how many houses have you sold? Yeah. But they don't see that the whole backbone of a business is your property management department and investments.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, it's crazy that people don't really know that there actually is goodness in the real estate market.
Yes.
And that's what your role is, because it's a value creation role.
Yeah, which is huge. Like, and when I explain to people I'm a new business partner, because you say it a lot to people and they're like, what does that mean? Like, do you just manage properties? And I'm like, no, like we have a full team that start from a leasing agent to finance to marketing to a new business partner to a property manager to associates. Like, there's so much in the department. But I think the number one thing I do love about my role as well is obviously property managers, you have however many you need in a department to look after the properties. Leasing agents as well, which are wonderful because I wouldn't be able to do my job without a leasing agent. But with my role and my like part within the business is so important, because it's like, again, you're creating that value creation, but also you're so important because you're one of the only people in the company that do it. So I'm like, I call myself Switzerland at work because it's like I'm the middleman for my sales agents that give me leads, the sales agents that need me. Like I do rental appraisal figures of a rental income on every property that's sold within the business. So every single sales agent that lists a property, I have to do a rental appraisal on that property. Then I'm also dealing with all clients that have investments that are coming through the business. So it's like my clients who I look after day to day is about 100 clients every day that I'm dealing with. And it's like, you don't realize how important your role is until you start talking about it like now. And I'm like, yeah, I love what I do. Like, this is brilliant. I'm like, I'm so needed. I'm like, oh, good. But yeah.
And just talking about your personal brand, like you've obviously got a good social media presence. I'm assuming you're trying to grow that personal brand. How important is personal brand in your role?
Huge. Like I actually finally realized that the other day, which was amazing. I did an appraisal on Friday and I went into a property and I said to him, like he called my phone direct and he said to me, I actually got your details from XYZ. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, I was going to ask you, like, because you called my number direct. And he was like, yeah, you were referred to me by how well you did for that property. You're on the market for 3 days, leased it at $1,200 a week of what they wanted. They said you're amazing. Communication was amazing. So I want to go with you as well.
Yeah.
And that moment, being someone that's new in Sydney, that doesn't have the background in Sydney, that obviously not new, but like 4 years, I don't have the background as to where I do on the Central Coast where I grew up my whole life, that you say my name there and 90% of people know who I am, which is great.
Yeah.
I went to school there. It's what I did my whole career. I've got a big family, so everyone knows us. In Sydney, not having that, you've got to create it. And I think that's on Friday where I finally went, I was like, oh, I've been in my company long enough. The referrals are starting to go out there. My brand's starting to go out there. It's not just now people are calling the agency. People are now calling Bree, which I was kind of like, oh my God, this feels brilliant. But yeah, it's creating the referral clientele and creating that background and creating myself on social media where people be like, oh, wow, this is the process that she's doing. This is the stats that she's coming up with. Like, how are you leasing properties at $4,500 a week in one inspection? Yep. So it's doing all those things and doing the right thing by my tenants and landlords, because you've got to remember as well, every tenant becomes a landlord.
Every tenant becomes a landlord. Okay, yeah, true.
So it's not just a landlord that is important, because at the end of the day,
eventually
every tenant is going to come to you and need a loan, and they're either going to be a homeowner or be an investor. So it's like how you treat everyone is so important. And that's one thing that we do well. It's like no one is better than anyone else.
Yeah,
so
makes sense.
Yeah, creating that Bree brand has been amazing, which is good.
The
but
BB,
yeah, I know.
brands.
Well, it's BBB, Bree Brown brand.
Love
but
it.
Finally getting there, which is good. So it's been a while.
And tell me, like, okay, so you've just had a massive year. So you've leased 144 managements over the last financial year. You've got a target of 200 for the this financial year now.
Yeah.
How does the career start to get to that point? Because 144, that's like nearly 2 a week, if not more. Like, it's a lot. Like,
it's a lot of clients, which is, like I said before we jumped on here, like I've done this for 11 years and 144 for myself of new business. So like our company, we leased over 500 with relets and properties, obviously, that have already been in the business. But for new business that I've personally signed, being 144, that's a career target that I've just reached, that I was kind of like, wow, I can't believe I just did that. My goal was always 120, and knowing I did 144, I was like, okay, cool. So then the next financial year, I was like, okay, this year I'm going to want to do 180. And I thought, no, you know what? If I've just hit that, if not more, I'm going to hit 200. Yeah. So yeah, it's huge. But I guess the biggest thing for me was, obviously I started 11 years ago. I was very fortunate enough that when I started in the industry, I went into a boutique agency. So I worked at a property called Smith Property Agents that's no longer active, but it was a small boutique agency. The owner of it had like 15 to 20 years, one company experience, went out on his own, and I went and got my certificate of registration, knocked on his door, and he said, I need experience, because he's brand new. Yeah. And I was like, I don't have it, but I'll work hard. And he's like, no, I need experience. Come back in a month. So I went knocking again in a month, and I was like,
go get experience for a month.
Yeah. Well, he was like, come back in a month. If I hire someone, we'll see how we go. Yeah. I went back in a month and was like, have you hired someone? Do you need an assistant? He's like, no, I still haven't done that yet. Come back later. And I was like, oh my God. So I kept knocking on the door, and I knew, I was like, this is where I want to work. I was like, I just saw myself at that company, and I was like, I don't want to work for another company. And I had McDonald's history of being a manager at McDonald's. I did really, really well at McDonald's being a manager, running a few companies there. They looked at my resume and they thought, you know what, let's just take a shot at this. So I ended up working in this boutique agency. There was only 4 of us there, 4 or 5 being with the principal. And I was very fortunate enough where I actually was doing a dual role from day one. So I was in sales, but I was also in property management.
Yeah.
That first year and a half of my career was I probably went home crying every single day. But they say if you make it past 1 year, you'll make it to 3. And then after 3 years of being in that one company, I was actually the managing director. And I was working there with him because his office manager resigned, and he was like, I need you to jump in and do it. And overnight I was just like, what am I doing? I had no idea. I was like, I've got experience in life and business, but I was like, I don't have experience in property and just everything real estate wise. I was like, I've been an assistant to property manager and I've been an associate in sales, but I was like, I don't know anything else. I remember end of financial year and I was doing sales, trust accounting, like wages, accounts, everything for this company. And I was there at midnight crying my eyes out, trying to figure out how to do all this sale process and trust accounting. But that got me to where I needed to be, and doing the discipline within my first 5 years of those 12, I don't recommend it, but those 12 o'clock at nights and working my bum off to get to that, where then in the future it set me up to know what I was doing. So like now I turned around and I said, okay, I don't want to be good. I don't want to be 50% at 5 roles. I want to be 100% at 1. So instead of then spreading myself so thin, I turned around and I said, I'm going to change my whole career path, and I want to go down the route of just doing just BDM. So where do I see that now? So then I went into LJ Hooker, but then COVID hit. So it was a bit of agony going through that. And obviously we weren't working for a while. Property through that was, chaos as well, because obviously you couldn't do routine inspections. You couldn't go into houses. You couldn't lease properties. You couldn't sell properties. So we took a big hit in that, and then came back and worked for a year at LJ Hooker. I became then like in the top 2.5% in the BDM in that space. And then that's when I moved to Sydney. And then I thought, okay, well, coming to Sydney in an area I don't know, you can't go out and just start talking about areas and properties and giving landlords feedback and everything when I don't know it. So I went into McGrath and I was a property manager for a couple of years, learnt my areas, learnt what I needed to, did my inspections, did my ingoings, went back to the basics of being a property manager. And then that's when I started a year and a half ago at the agency. And then now I specialize in BDM again, because one, I know the like industry, I know what I'm doing, but now I know the area. So then that's how I've hit my target last financial year, which was brilliant, but hoping to do it again this year, and if not better.
Amazing.
Which is good.
I find that like working for like a boutique agency gives you a wealth of experience, because you're wearing so many different hats in the business. Now, obviously there's a positive to that, but there's also can be a negative in terms of like you don't always have the processes of a larger, like a McGrath in place. Yeah. What was the difference that you, well, let's go into it. When you went to that bigger agency, what was the process difference like, and what did you take away from that?
So with the boutique agency, I had to create a lot of the processes myself. So again, it was so hard because I'm like, well, I'm not that experienced. How do I know what we're doing is correct? Obviously, I got my diploma in property services when I was there at the boutique agency, having to do what I was doing. So you learn things, but it's like I wasn't learning off anyone. I was having to learn myself. Now being at the agency, for instance, and what we go through, like today, I had a conversation with my boss today, and I said, I love everything we do in terms of our marketing, and we've got like preparing your property for lease. I've got things about landlords, about like insurances, your smoke alarms, your compliance, everything. And I said to my boss today, I was like, I want to create now a process for what's next. So once your property's been leased, let's create a document and a space for, okay, here we give this to an owner. These are your next step processes to go into before your tenant moves in. Straight away, he was like, yep, absolutely. Send me an email of what you're doing now and we'll go to marketing and do it. Having a big company and having people that are above you, like my boss, for instance, that's got so much experience and wealth of knowledge, you can bounce off people. Yeah. So then we can go to our marketing team that I don't have marketing knowledge. Like ask me to do something and I'd be like, I have no idea.
Ask ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'm
Sort
like,
it.
I'm not doing that. I'm like, that's why I tell people, don't try and tell me how to do my job and I'm not going to tell you how to do yours.
Yeah.
But having that background and having so many people to bounce off and talk to, and it's the same as like my leasing team. So it's like having that experience in leasing and doing that for so long. Like our head of leasing has been in the industry for 7 years doing head of leasing. So he's so experienced in that area that his knowledge of what he does and how he does it, I would never, even if I've been in the industry for 11 years, I would never ever like question anything he says. Then it's like my general manager, he's amazing as well. And he's so good at putting out the fires because that's what you do, your complaints register. So having that background of all your different areas of the people that do well in those areas and the processes and the steps and your software and your marketing, and I guess having a big company where we do have, well, our Sydney office that I work out of in Surry Hills, that's our head office. So it's like the knowledge and the background that we have there, but also like what we could just go and fund and be able to do is amazing because you can't do that in a small boutique industry. And as well, like something I used to market a lot when I was at a boutique industry because it was all I knew was you're very personalized and we can look after you. But realistically, we do that now in a big company, if not better and more, because you're still personalized. If a property manager is looking after a property, like you're still personalized because you've got them. But now we've got the knowledge behind us where like realistically the world's our oyster because we can fund it, which is brilliant. So having that as well as that boutique side where it's like caring and personalized is great. But yeah, it's having the people behind us that can process and do it, which is good.
Yeah, process is everything.
Huge.
Like that's all I'm upset. And it took me a couple of years like to really understand that our system and our process is our business. And the better our process is, it's a better customer experience or client experience.
It's like process, checklist, software. What software you use too is heaps important because if your software's bad, like realistically, we run a whole property out of our software.
Yeah.
So it's like there's so many different softwares out there that you can use. And if you don't use the right one, you can't have a property managed correctly.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that go into the importance of a property management department that people don't realize. But yeah, our processes, software, our steps, like our handovers, our emails, our templates, everything that we have that our company has created is beyond me. Like I love our packs that we take out to our landlords because they're so personalized where like I've got my own personalized pack just for me. So like it has all my like reviews in there, everything about me as an agent, but then everything about the company. So it's like having a big company in our process and systems, we wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't have, say, a boutique agency or something, which is good.
No, it makes sense. Now, you mentioned McDonald's before.
Oh, yeah.
Take me, like, because you hear stories of, like, the processes, the training.
Yeah.
Like, what did you learn when you were working at McDonald's? How long were you there for? Like, you got to a managing role. Like,
I actually loved McDonald's. Like, I loved working there. So I was there for 7 years. I started off as just a crew, and it was funny, too, because I was, like, refusing to want to work at McDonald's when I was younger. I was like, no, I want to go work at Supre or something, being a young female. I was like, I'll go work in clothing. And then I turned around and I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to go do McDonald's because my brothers did. Like I've got 3 brothers. Oh, that's another story in itself.
Wow, okay. I can see where the tough energy comes from.
Yeah,
so I'm the older brothers.
Yeah, I've got 3 brothers. But so I started working at McDonald's, became a crew member. Then I became obviously crew team leader. Then became a McCafe team leader, which are all the steps. Then I actually became one of the youngest in McDonald's. Like, so McDonald's have franchise and then they also have company owned and everything. So the company owned that I worked at had 10 stores and I became one of the top 3 ever promoted under the age of 18 as a manager, which was good. So like I worked, I shouldn't really say this, but I left school early. I should have finished my HSC, go to school kids, but I left early and went and worked at McDonald's. And then I just did that full time. I loved it. I was doing overnights on weekends. Like I would everything was about McDonald's for me. It was, it's so bad. But
the procedures that you would have learned, like how did...
So like they've got like McDonald's University.
Yeah,
like literally McDonald's University. So once you go into management, you have to go down to Thorn and you go through courses and processes and steps and you go through fire training. Like they go through everything with you as to how to be in tough situations, because you are young, you're looking after young kids. Like I opened a store and had to train 50 14-year-old staff members, like agony, absolute agony. But you have to go through those steps and processes and their modules. And I've never seen a company of how they go through what you need to each stage of going through, starting in the industry of McDonald's and then going to management of like their modules and their software and their processes and their like just everything in their steps and processes of what they do is wild out there, which is amazing. Like it's probably one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I did 7 years there, and then that got me my job straight away outside. Yeah, 7 years at McDonald's.
7 years at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was a manager for 4 and then crew for 3.
Yeah. Well, it's a testament to like how you're coming across right now. You're extremely intelligent. You know your market or your current role inside out. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that could have come from the procedures and the structure that you learn at McDonald's. Like 7 years. You deserve a Rolex for that.
Honestly,
where's the gold Rolex?
I will take it. No, they actually did have like a Ray Kroc award. Have you ever seen the McDonald's movie?
I have.
Yeah. So the Ray Kroc award. So they do actually have that, and like management awards and everything else. But yeah, back in the days, I went to America for McDonald's. It was great. So we went to America, did like a McDonald's convention. So like you have like CSO, customer satisfaction opportunities, and food cost and all this stuff that McDonald's head office would create, where you'd have secret shoppers. So you'd go through, and I was one of the managers that ran a full year at 0 to 100% like customer satisfaction opportunities, where I was running my staff on those shifts to perfection, where I kept receiving awards that, we went to America for it and then did like a big convention, which was brilliant. So yeah, I loved McDonald's. I will rave about McDonald's all day, every day. I don't feel like it's the same though now.
Really? What do you think's changed?
I just I think they're more now just about fast service rather than quality service. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the big thing, I guess, that my role now, where I kind of make sure that it's stayed with me my whole career, is it's not about how fast you can do a service, it's about the quality of the service. And I find that these days they just try and push cars through rather than doing it efficiently, but also to perfection. Yeah. And I know obviously not everything's perfect and you can't do everything perfect, but you can at least try. And I just find that it's probably slipped a little bit compared to what we used to do years ago. Like obviously it's been 11, 12 years since I've worked at McDonald's. So it's been a long time, but yeah, I just find, I guess over time, it's probably more just about now how many numbers rather than the quality of what it is. Yeah,
quality, super important. Delivering on an amazing service, which what you do today. Yeah. And like 7 years is a long time at McDonald's. Did you ever think, well, what's the next steps from here with McDonald's? Like, would you go through the corporate ladder?
I did actually really want to go into corporate and actually run the CSO for the franchise of the company at like McDonald's corporate. But like my partner at the time when I was younger was like, you would be amazing in real estate. Like you don't shut up. And I was like, you know what? I was like, it's not a bad idea. So then I looked at the course and started doing my course every Tuesday on my day off while I was still working. And I started going through it all. And then that's when I decided, okay, what is my actual career path of what I want to go down? Yeah. But yeah, I did think about going into corporate and actually wanting to run, or even more like a training base, like back on the Central Coast where I lived, where I worked at McDonald's, we opened up your minor McDonald's, and like the store manager at the time and then a few of us managers all had to train the staff at West Gosford to open up that to open up that franchise. So we were training everyone and doing all of that. And then a big part of me did want to go into head office and train staff to be better. And I guess that's one thing I love now as well, is training people and giving my knowledge to others. And that's something that I did think about. But yeah, I wanted to turn it more, not that McDonald's isn't a career, because it 100% is, but I wanted to turn it more into a career that I see myself doing longer term. Like I don't think I'll ever leave this industry, ever. Yeah. Like I'm solid now, and I probably won't ever leave this role, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, there's so many, even if you wanted to leave the role, there's so many different roles within the real estate market.
Yeah, absolutely. The next thing that I would want to do, but not anytime soon, is train people within my role. Yeah. So like whether that be 5 years, 10 years, whatever it may be for the company or anything else, it would be probably something like that. But for the moment, I love doing what I'm doing. And like, obviously, like I'm not young, but I'm definitely not old. But like I've probably, got at least another 5-6 years in me. And I want to be number one in many ways within not just our company, but actually Australia wide. It's going to take me a long time to get there because I know some numbers that other BDMs within other companies are doing. But again, I know their quality is not great. So it's like, I want to be able to create the quality first, then create the numbers. It's the same as what I was saying before with McDonald's. Obviously they're pushing through the numbers, but they're not pushing through the quality. So if I can get that right, then build in the referrals and build in the base and bringing in everything and then get to that number and quality process to then, I guess, give it to someone else to take over and then train others within the country. So that's probably my long-term, what I want to do.
And to wrap it up, I mean, what advice would you give someone younger that, or even just anyone in general looking to get into the property space? Like, what would you say to them?
Definitely do it. The biggest thing I could say is when you're going into, I guess, any department within the industry, I do always recommend for either a sales agent or a property manager, start in leasing. Leasing is, sorry, I've just moved that.
No, that's okay.
Leasing is like the number one most important part, I think, of any industry or any position within our company, because you're seeing it from a point of view as to you're looking into the depths of what needs to be cleaned, the processes, the steps. It's like a stepping stone in the industry, but you're learning everything you can for sales. But then also if you want to go into property management, because you're learning everything as a leasing agent. So I think the number one thing, if you want to get into the industry, go get your certificate first. Do that first. A lot of people do it while they're in the company, which is also brilliant. But the biggest thing that I could say is a principal or any manager that's interviewing you, if they can see that you've already taken your first initiative and said, yep, I can go do this, then to create and go into it, you're already taking that step to say, hey, look, I'm switched on. Then when you get into the industry, just work hard. It's not hard. When you're there for 9 hours a day, 8 hours a day, whatever it is, just put in 100% of effort, then switch off. I definitely would say as well, enjoy your time in switching off. Don't overcomplicate work. Don't put too much into your job where then you lose yourself because you're going to hate it and leave within a year or two. Be like, I know they say balanced lifestyle and all that, but honestly, balanced lifestyle is huge. I'm very lucky that I've got a very good, healthy, balanced lifestyle now where I do a lot outside of work, which is also benefits me now too, because then it makes me happy when I do go to work. But yeah, being smart, switched on, take that initiative going into it, but learning, ask questions. But also just start. It's one of the biggest. Yeah, you just got to start.
And just like obviously meeting you today, the biggest quality I've seen from you is your hard work, or you work hard. Yeah. Your work ethic is coming through with what you're saying. You mentioned before that it was your partner at the time that said you're a great talker and you wanted to get in. Yeah. I disagree fully. I think your work ethic is your biggest selling point, and a lot of people miss that in the industry. Although it looks unreal, you drive the nice cars, you wear the beautiful heels into work, you look glammed up, but it's the hard work that gets the job done.
And I think that's a big thing that people just have with like sales agents in the industry and real estate agents. It's like the flashy cars and the money and everything, but they don't see the property management side where it's not all about that to us. To us, it's work hard, your work ethic. We come to work to do the best job we possibly can for our clients. And then we go home and then we want to be at home with our families. So it's probably the biggest thing. But yeah, I will say I love my work ethic, and I got that from my dad. But my mum's obviously amazing as well, but she's looked after us as the family. But my dad, he's worked in Sydney for over 30 years from the Central Coast, driving to and from all the time. And again, a work ethic for my mum being able to provide for everyone at home for him to do that. But my dad's work ethic is actually amazing in the sense of waking up at 4, 5 a.m., driving to Sydney, working hard, and he's in fire protection, doing what he can here, and then goes home and gets home late at night. And it's like, I see my work ethic from him, and then also what my mum does at home. I get probably the best things of both of my parents. I've got both of them, which I'm very lucky. So sucked into my brothers, but I've got my mum's OCD side and like where the quality of what she's brought me up to be, and then my dad's work ethic side, where then it's made me into probably my best career, because I'm like, my OCD is so important, where my admin's perfect, or I shouldn't say perfect, but my admin's good. And what I like to do is like I like to dot my I's and cross my T's, but then my work ethic's great too, because it's like I like to get the job done and done well, which is good.
There you go. Mum,
But
Dad,
yeah,
McDonald's, boutique agency,
Yeah.
McGrath, LJ Hooker,
Yeah.
now at the agency, Bree Brown. You are amazing. I'm excited to see you hit your 200 new listings or lease properties over the next 12 months.
Yeah.
Bree, if anyone wants to work with you,
Yeah.
Bree Brown, the agency,
Yeah.
what's your Instagram handle?
So Bree Brown at the agency, so you can find me on there. It's got all my details for my email, phone number. You can even look up the agency, and I'll be obviously all on there with the company. Or you can contact me once I do share this as well, and then comment anything you like. But feel free to get in touch if you want to work with me, if you've got an investment or any questions.
Go Bree Brown from the agency.
Thank
And
you.
everyone, thanks for listening to Pack Chat or watching. We'll catch you on the next one.